Hello, I'm Michelle Stelvich. I am the president of Northwest Washington Central Labor Council. Thank you for participating in Northwest Washington Central Labor Council Workers' Memorial Day. On April 28th, Northwest Washington Central Labor Council will once again observe Worker Memorial Day. It's a day that remembers workers killed and injured on the job and to renew our fight for strong worker safety protections. 50 years ago, the Occupational and Safety Health Act went into effect after tireless effort from the labor movement and our allies as a way that we drew attention to worker-related deaths and injuries that happen on the job, and we let our government know that we needed a safer workplace so our families and our friends come home from their workplace each day. 50 years ago, the Occupational and Safety Health Act went into effect after tireless effort of the labor movement, who drew attention to work-related death and injuries. We organized for safer working conditions and demanded action from our government. The OSHA Act and the Mine Safety and Health Act promised workers a safer workplace. And we intend, as the labor movement and as the Central Labor Council, to make those promises happen. We have struggled with winning protections for safer jobs and protections for deadly silica dust from beryllium. We have stronger coal dust standards for miners and a stronger anti-retaliation protection for workers who report unsafe working places. We will defend workers that have stood up and said this isn't okay, and we will continue to do that, and we will continue to fight until we fulfill our promise of making our workplaces safe. Worker safety and workers' voices go hand in hand. We know from decades of evidence that shows that when a workplace is unionized, it is a safer workplace. This year, America's labor movement and our allies are launching a full-scale national campaign to pass the Protecting the Right to Organize Act, or the PRO Act. This gives tens of millions of workers who want to form a union a fair path to do so. The popularity of union is at 65% in our country, and one of the highest marks since the OSHA Act was implemented in 1971. And 60 million non-union workers say they would vote for a voice at their job if given a chance. So we're asking, as a way to protect workers in everyday lives, by helping to pass the PRO Act. And I'm hoping that you will commit to a safer workplace by having your voice heard, by letting known your congressional, senator, and representatives the importance of voting for the PRO Act. Our collective voices have made many things happen, and we need to stand up so that our friends and our families will come home from their jobs safely, and that we don't have to worry about that our workplaces are unsafe. We have spent a year with COVID-19. This has taken many of our families and friends. We have to remember all those who we've lost and the fight to make our workplaces safer by making sure that we have protective equipment for everybody who needs it. So I hope you join me in saying that we will mourn for the dead, but we will fight for the living. Thank you.
On behalf of myself, Seth Fleetwood, Mayor Bellingham, and County Executive Satpal Sidhu, I offer this joint proclamation in honor of Workers' Memorial Day. Whereas each April we observe Workers' Memorial Day as a day to remember those who have suffered and died on the job. And whereas we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes, suffered diseases because of exposure to toxic substances, or been injured because of dangerous conditions, we rededicate ourselves to the fight for safe workplaces. And whereas the core theme for Workers' Memorial Day has been Mourn for the Dead, Fight for the Living, and whereas April 28th was chosen because it commemorates the anniversary of when the Occupational Safety and Health Act went into effect, and whereas Workers' Memorial Day is observed in nearly 100 countries, And whereas the Northwest Washington Central Labor Council will have a remembrance ceremony, now, therefore, do we, Seth Fleetwood, Mayor of the City of Bellingham, and Satpal Singh Sidhu, Whatcom County Executive, along with our respective city and county councils, proclaim Wednesday, April 28, 2021, to be Workers' Memorial Day.
Hey there, I'm State Senator Liz Lovelett, representing the beautiful 40th District. I'm here today in my front yard in Anacortes and wanted to wish you all a meaningful Worker Memorial Day. We passed some incredible legislation this year. We just adjourned on Sunday, including the health emergency labor standards. If we ever have another health emergency like we've been experiencing with this pandemic, we were able to pass farm worker overtime, which is historic in and of itself, to protect the health and safety of farm workers in Washington state. Most near and dear to my heart, though, growing up in Anacortes, is the continued work that we are doing around process safety management for our high hazard facilities. You know, being in Anacortes when that fatal explosion happened all those years ago left us with our friends and neighbors passing away in a totally preventable tragedy. I think too of the trauma that inspired with our first responders. It's preventable, it needs to be fixed. And I am here and dedicated to continuing the process with Labor and Industries to ensure that our process safety management update comes to fruition in this coming year. So I stand with you today in solidarity, and have a wonderful springtime. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Skip Williams, and I'm a candidate for the Bellingham City Council Ward 4 position. I'm also a former representative for the Washington Education Association. Thank you for inviting me to take part in the Workers' Memorial Day acknowledgement of workers killed or injured on the job, and the renewal of the efforts for maintaining strong workplace safety and health protections. As we all know, 50 years ago, the Occupational Safety and Health Act went into effect. After the tireless efforts of the labor movement, it drew major attention to work-related injuries and deaths and organizing for safer working conditions and demanding action from the government to address those issues. OSHA, upon passage, promised workers the right to a safe job through safe working conditions. After years of struggle, new rules were won to protect workers from unsafe and sometimes deadly working conditions, as well as protecting workers who reported those unsafe conditions and on-the-job injuries from retaliation by their employers. The pandemic that we are currently in has also exposed many weaknesses in the safety agency's abilities to ensure workers are protected on the job, and has shown us that there's still much work to be done before the promise to keep all workers safe on the job can be totally fulfilled. Decades of evidence show that unionized workplaces are safer workplaces. That is one reason why the campaign to pass the Protecting the Right to Organize Act was introduced. This would give tens of millions of unrepresented workers who want to form a union a fairer path to do so. As we acknowledge our brothers and sisters who have died on the job, renewed efforts must be made to ensure that safe jobs for all workers through strong unions, strong laws, and strong workplace safety regulations, particularly focusing on the safety and health of Black, Latino, and immigrant workers who are disproportionately affected by unsafe working conditions. This is the only way that we can ensure that the number of workplace injuries and deaths go down or are eliminated. Once again, thank you for inviting me to participate in this very important event, acknowledging and honoring our fallen brothers and sisters.